Yeah.
All right, welcome to Out of the Blue from the Block M Podcast Network, part of the Fan First Sports Network. We have been called the David Schwimmer of podcasts. I am Jared Stormer of the Block M Podcast Network at maizenbrew.com. With me, as always, is Andy Bailey, my hetero life mate. Andy Bailey, he's been looking into raising rabbits for meat. Andy Bailey, I don't want your best. I want your worst. How the hell are you, my friend?
I am good, brother. Another day closer to football.
Indeed, we are. There is football in the month of August. We are in the month of August. The True Psychos got to watch the Hall of Fame game. You and Tony were absolutely dialed in. I love this. Great seeing some Haynes King versus that absolute shit shack over there, who we will not name. But, you know, it's good to have guys to hate watch as well.
You got to have heroes and villains. Like, what's a show without an antagonist?
No, I'm with you, man. We are inching ever closer. Week 0 is the official kickoff here on this podcast because, you know, I'm not leaving the couch for week 0. Absolutely locked in.
No, we have San Jose State, USC. What are you talking about?
Cancel the plans. I can't go see your mother-in-law. Can't go see the mother-in-law. Afraid not. We are going to talk some football on this one. We are continuing with our season preview, talking weeks 7 through 9 here. Some interesting games that we will talk about in this run for sure. And then going into the position breakdowns, we're talking linebackers, cornerbacks, and safety room. So some really interesting discussions as we shift over to the defense. Excited for that conversation. A lot of talent, a lot of new names as well. So this will be a good one. Before we get into that, we have to touch the banner. Quite a bit actually happened since we last spoke. Try and get through these pretty quickly. Lions will be making Jahmyr Gibbs the highest paid running back in the NFL with a 3-year, $75.7 million. 51 of it is guaranteed, locking in Jahmyr Gibbs from the upcoming season. Most people consider him the best running back in the game right now. So this was going to be a huge piece of what the Lions wanted to do this year. So I had to get this done.
Yeah, 3-year deal feels like a steal. Probably be renegotiated after 2 years. You'll only be 26 at that time, so you could probably re-up for another 3 at that point. And you pay the man what he's worth. He's worth that money.
Pay the man. Absolutely got to do it. The rest of the Detroit Lions offseason, not going as well. Every
Not
week,
great.
Everything I read is like the worst news ever. It's like, is this season already like ruined? Like, what's going to happen?
Yeah. All we're missing is like an electrical plant next to our field that's just actively injuring the rest of our roster.
It's like Jared Goff lost his hand to a crocodile. What is happening?
Aiden Hutchinson blew off 4 fingers with a firework. What happened?
What is this? The stupidest injuries I've ever heard. Yeah, so we'll see about the Lions this year. I think they're over under 9.5. I was leaning over. I don't know anymore with some of these injuries. The Cade Mays injury, the starting center. That's tough, man.
Yeah,
tough.
that's a bad one. Still get the 4th place schedule, so at least if you were looking for a silver lining,
manageable.
It still exists. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Let's move over to Michigan. The freak list has come out, Bruce Feldman's annual freak list. We have one name on it this year, and it's the long snapper who I didn't even know was on the team, Gavin Magorian. That's the first time I've said that name. It might be the last.
And Marshall transferred, just came in this year with Whittingham. There's Carter Meadows not qualify as a freak, or Savion Hyder.
JJ Buchanan?
Julius Welshoff was top 10 one year in 21, I believe. So this kind of feels like what coaches are more in bed with Bruce Feldman a little bit, because we know Harbaugh was very close to him. I don't know if Whittingham's so much so as reflected with some of these listings.
Yeah, I don't know what goes into this criteria, and so therefore I do not care. Carter Meadows and JJ McKinnon, John Henry Daly, like there's a number of names that I think should have gotten some consideration here.
But you get some ridiculous things too. It's like Oregon linebacker got up to 24 miles per hour with this thing. It's the fastest ever recorded. It's like, is that accurate? Is he going to run a 4.2 at the combine? Is that what's going to happen? Because it was a couple years ago, they said Will Howard got up to like 22.5 miles an hour, and that would have been the same as Tyreek Hill from Next Gen Stats. So it's like, okay, this is ridiculous. Like, it's kind of the thumb on the scale here.
Yeah, you don't need to pump the brakes. You need to slam on the brakes with that take.
Yeah.
That's, some settled down juice there. Michigan comes in at number 16 in the coaches poll. Rest of the Big Ten teams that are represented, Ohio State is at 1, Oregon at 2, Indiana at 6. Weird that Indiana also received the second most first place votes and fell all the way to 6. USC at 14, Penn State at 17, Washington at 19, Iowa at 22. Big Ten well represented in the coaches poll.
I wonder if this is the first time a number 1 ranked team in the preseason has an over-under in single digits, because Ohio State's 9.5 right now.
That's very interesting, man. Very interesting. That's interesting, dude. That's interesting. So we're gonna talk about them next week. Obviously, closing down the team previews with them. So we will get there. We will get there. Chomping at the bit to start talking about that matchup. Anything stand out about the rankings there or the Michigan ranking?
Not really. I mean, it's fine. No, I kind of anticipate Michigan to be anywhere between 10 to 15. I lean towards the 15 part of that.
Yeah, sounds about right to me. 16 seems very reasonable. I'm not going to bother losing any sleep over any of these rankings. It'll all sort itself out in the wash. Couple personnel moves here. Wide receiver CJ Charleston, safety Taylor Tatum, and defensive tackle Chibi Amuna no longer with the team. Charleston was denied a 7th year of eligibility. I don't think I realized he was that old. And then Tatum, who was going to play football and baseball, moved over to safety. Will just be focusing on baseball. So we'll be playing for the Michigan baseball team. Wish him the best. I was kind of dubious of the move to safety. And I was like, I think he could probably stand to stay at running back and compete in that room. Nonetheless, talking about all getting figured out in the wash, Tatum no longer with the program.
Yeah. And the one who medically retires. I mean, none of these were big news here. Wish him all the best. With Taylor Tatum, it's crazy what kind of athlete he is. I mean, this was the number 1 running back in the country just a couple years ago. He's just going to be like, all right, I'm going to go play baseball now. So I kind of interested in watching the baseball team this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly going to be pulling for him. But yeah, I would have thought he would have stuck at running back and made a real go of it when you're that highly considered to be one of the top in the nation. So an odd career for Tatum. Any of these other guys stand out? I agree with you. None of these were going to be hugely impactful this year.
No, it just clears up some roster space.
Yep. You have this in the doc, Ernest Hausmann rumors. I've heard nothing about this. What do you got for me?
Kind of floating around the interwebs a little bit about Ernest Hausmann. Could he be open to a return? He's class of 2022. He was at Michigan most recently, so he wouldn't have to transfer. He does have that eligibility. He wasn't drafted in the NFL draft. Could they be looking that way? Kyle Whittingham today addressed the rumors if they've been looking at any linebackers in the portal or bringing anybody back with the 2022 rule. He says no, not at the moment. So I don't think it's anything to substantiate, but it was interesting to see his name floated back around. But when I saw it, though, I'm like, this isn't Ernest Hausmann from 2024. Like, remember how it ended? Like, it ended about as poorly as it can. The kid quit the team, had some severe mental health problems, got those sorted out by all indications and reports. But again, like, let's just leave that in the past, roll the dice with what we have.
I would agree. If he did come back, player-wise, he would immediately become the most talented linebacker on the roster. We're going to talk about the linebackers, but again, he hasn't played in a while. Like, what
he's
kind
super
of condition
underweight
he is.
Too. At the Michigan Pro Day, he was under 220, 210. Like, he's not in football shape. He's not like Aaron Donald, just staying in shape, just waiting to come back.
Good God. Good luck to everyone if Aaron Donald signs with the Rams. Yeah, we'll see about that one. Seems like just a rumor at this point.
I think so too.
But let's get into some real football talk. There's been quite a bit of camp notes, dude. Like, there's been a lot coming out, more so than some of the Harbaugh years, more so than the Sharon Moore years. It's been refreshing to hear like some actual football talk. A lot of names that they've mentioned here, so we'll kind of breeze through some of this. We'll start with the offensive line. No surprises here. Jake Warner and Andrew Sprague are locked in at center and right tackle, respectively. The other 3 positions are up for grabs. Evan Link and Norton are repping at guard. Frazier, Babaloa, and Evan Link to some degree battling at left tackle. And Harding hasn't ruled out kicking Frazier inside to get that best 5 out there. So this is kind of what we were anticipating and predicting early on, but it's just good to hear where we're at. Would like to see some of these start to get ironed out, but again, we're pretty early still in fall camp.
Yeah, just the first week wrapping up. Now, you'd like to see as we get towards August 20th and those final few weeks. But okay, we have the 5 now. They can get some experience working together towards the end of camp. I love this. I love just listening to Jim Harding speak because everything he says, it just feels like it has a purpose. Maybe that's just the reverence I hold for him and I'm just making all this up in my head, but it sounds great. Like, he just says all the right things and it just feels like the right person's leading the room.
Jim Harding's giving a great hamburger helper recipe, and Andy's just like dialed in,
taking notes. I'm like, okay. Now, do the pickles go? Do they pull? You pull the pickles? Oh, okay.
Fascinating. God, this guy knows his hamburger helper.
This guy knows burgers. Brett Bielema, watch out.
This guy knows ball. I did like this quote that he said, which makes sense with the personnel. And we've talked about this. He says, you need to be able to show versatility at the college level. That's what the NFL is looking for. You might not play multiple spots in a game, but if you can prove you can play a couple different spots on the line, you're more marketable at the next level. So really starting to kind of ingrain that into these guys that, look, someone's got to change positions here. There's only two tackles on there. They will run a 6 offensive lineman quite a bit. So expect to see one of these other guys be that 6th lineman in the Rhino package. But he gets it, man. Obviously someone's got to kick inside, and that's what they're experimenting with now.
I'm fascinated to see how it shakes out. Again, you and I have talked extensively about how we think it's going to all work out throughout the season. Could be a little different at the beginning than at the end, but I'm really interested to see, especially who the 6th offensive lineman is, whether that person changes, when the inevitable injury happens, who steps in next there, and just kind of see how he manages it day to day. But I'm really excited for this group. There's a lot of youth and a lot of unknowns at some spots, but one of the most talented offensive lineman rooms in a while. Like, there's a lot of talent here.
And having an actual strength and conditioning program has already made a difference. Looking at some of these dudes, like where they started camp and where they're at now, like Blake Frazier, that was the one kind of going viral on Twitter. Different human being.
That's like if the Zapruder film looked like the Odyssey today. That's what it looked like. I mean, that was unbelievable. Like, that there needs to be an additional charge for somebody for that. That was outrageous.
Yeah. We need to fire Sharon Moore again.
Again, can we? Can we just do it again? Or anything? Anything else we got?
Yeah, dude, but Frazier looks huge. I mean, all these guys look like ready to go. And it was also going viral that Colorado looks small, my alma mater, some of that going around it. I mean, it was cherry-picked footage, but there is something to that. Like, this Michigan O-line looks like a Big Ten O-line group, and they look ready to roll physically, at least.
It's like when you see Georgia. Georgia never looks small. I don't know if it's the jerseys, it's the camera angles. Georgia never looks small, and they most importantly never play small.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We went to that Wisconsin game, and like, say what you will about Wisconsin the last couple of years. It's like, this is a big team, dude. Like, they stood out for that. Yeah. So always something that we're keeping an eye on. Some other notes coming out of camp. No surprises here. Andrew Marsh and JJ Buchanan standing out at wide receiver 1 and 2. Whittingham called JJ special today, and there was a back shoulder throw from Bryce Underwood to JJ that was going around. That was the first one that got us kind of tingling a little bit. Very excited to see, more than a little bit. Like, I was full on vibrating when I saw that.
It was tremendous just to see that, and it just kind of validates everything we've been hearing through the spring, because the spring showing of the offense was not much to write home about, but we've been hearing a lot about JJ Buchanan catches everything, contested catch monster. It's like, can we see it? It would be nice. I know he was the leading freshman receiver in the Big 12 last year, but this was like the first sample of it, like getting that first bite of an appetizer. Like, okay, he's not messing around. So
he looks big out there, man. And we haven't had a physical specimen like that at receiver since Nico Collins, like a truly physical elite mismatch kind of wide receiver, and that pairs so nicely next to Andrew Marsh. So really excited about this wide receiver room. If you want to hear our thoughts about the wide receiver room, I would encourage you to go back and watch listen to last week's pod where we went deep on that. So exciting stuff there. Kyle Whittingham also mentioned a couple other names here. Nate Staling, I got to figure out exactly how to say that. He said, he reminds me of some of the backers that you see in the NFL. He's got that great body position instincts, uses his hand, block destruction, outstanding tackler. He was a tackling machine for North Dakota. They're expecting this guy to play, it sounds like. So we're starting to get those 3 linebackers are starting to rise to the top. Sounds like it'll be Staling, Bowles, and Chase Taylor. Again, we're talking linebackers in this one, so we'll go deep on that.
Yeah, I love hearing this about Staling, whatever his name is, Nate from North Dakota. So it's just awesome to have that live up to it, because there's always the concern about, it used to be FCS, now FBS this year, but the transition up to a Power 4 program and how he's going to uphold and stand up to that day to day. Sounds like he's just a duck in water. Like, it's just going to work perfectly.
Yeah, no, excited for him out there. We needed some veteran leadership back there, somebody that you could trust to go out there. So I think he'll play a role on this defense for sure. Another name that we heard this week, Dom Nichols, could start next to John Henry Daly. Jordan Marshall said he's going to have a monster season.
Feed it to me.
I love this. I mean, this is obviously what we need to be hearing. I'm excited. So some guys starting to, I don't know that like this is locked in yet, but this would make a lot of sense if Dom Nichols wins the job opposite JHD.
I've always been a Dom Nichols guy over Cam Brandt, and I can't really put a finger on it too much. I mean, I do think Dom Nichols is more explosive. We've seen it earlier. Maybe it's just bad name theory. Dom Nichols is just an objectively cooler name than Cameron Brandt. And no offense to Cam Brandt, wonderful run setting edge. But I think this really raises the ceiling in the room, though. Dom Nichols can get to that level, hold up in the run, because he's a much more dynamic pass rusher than Cam Brandt.
Yeah, and we've already talked about Carter Meadows, another name that he mentioned standing out that he's really excited to see his fall camp. So we've got some Carter Meadows stock. Anybody else that you heard in the camp rumblings that you wanted to touch on?
There's been some names. Travis Johnson's had some moments. Celeste Moa. Jamie French was mentioned in there. Again, it's kind of the Harbaugh-ism, though, where it's a bunch of guys naming dudes and just keep going down the roster. It's the ones you expect to hear. I guess the biggest
Shamari
takeaway
Earls was mentioned today.
Shamari Earls was mentioned, and that Jair Hill is more or less out of the nickel competition. So it's going to be between Zeke and Smith Snowden at nickel. And it's not losing the competition. It's like maybe he's just better at boundary or field. So we'll put him over there. But so as far as we know, our nickel is likely going to be either Zeke Berry or Smith Snowden this year.
Yeah, I would imagine that it would be Smith Snowden, but that's kind of how I was anticipating all this time. But who knows?
I like it being either Berry or Snowden. Like Jair Hill, it's like he can play it, but I think that would be limiting what he's best at. That's like casting Vince Vaughn in a dramatic role. Like, this isn't what you're best at. I need you being charismatic.
Yeah, that's why True Detective Season 2 just doesn't quite work.
Doesn't work.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about all I got, man. Be interested to hear, week 2 here in full effect. So by the time we talk next week, hopefully we'll have some more names. Some of these competitions will start to be ironed out. Definitely eyes locked in on that offensive line competition. Need to see who emerges there. And then again on the defense, which we'll talk about here in a bit. All right, brother, if there's nothing else, I think we get into some season preview, week 7 and 9, and we are starting with the doozy today.
I mean, none other than the reigning, defending 16-0 national champion, Indiana Hoosiers. Imagine telling yourself this 3 years ago.
It makes no sense. I think they have far and away the best coach in the sport. I wanted to start here with Cignetti. We already talked about how impressive of a job he is. I have a take for you. What Cignetti did last year is way more impressive than anything Nick Saban ever did at Alabama. Let me add a little bit of context to that. Nick Saban's run of dominance was during the time when they had a competitive advantage. What Cignetti did last year was like Moneyball. He's like, I see something in the way that this sport is currently constructed that you don't see. And he's like, I can go get these guys, pull them from here, and they are not NFL prospects, most of them, but we can absolutely get wins out of these guys, and we can squeeze wins out of this. He moneyballed the system, and it's like, no. Now the playing field is level, and I can take Indiana to new heights. Like, could he have done this? Like, if you put him on Central Michigan, how good is Central Michigan this year? Like, I hold him in such high esteem. I think it's as impressive as anything we've seen since we've been covering the sport.
Honestly, you had me at Cignetti more impressive than Saban, period. I didn't even need the context. I was like, I agree with you. This is Indiana, the losingest program in college football history. This is like taking the Browns in 2 years and making them undefeated Super Bowl champions, or like 17-1, whatever. But that's the level we're talking about. Indiana just completely turned it around overnight. I mean, this offense was putting up over 40 points a game year one with Curtis Rourke quarterback.
It's unbelievable, dude. And like, we were high on them last year. I was not high enough. Obviously, they ran the freaking table. Yeah. And it's like, of the most impressive national championships of the last decade, it is this Indiana team. It is our 2023 undefeated season. It's 2019 LSU. It's like, these are a level above. And I just don't have enough glowing remarks for Curt Cignetti, man. He's just a ball knower.
27-2 since he's taken over the last 2 years. His only 2 losses were in 2024, obviously, and they were to the 2 teams that played for the national championship, Notre Dame and Ohio State.
It's unbelievable, dude. And like, the way they did it, I don't think people remember 38-3 versus Alabama in the Rose Bowl. The Peach Bowl was 56-22 versus Oregon. And then, the CFP versus Miami was actually a good, very contested game. Yeah, really good game. But they kind of ran through everybody, man. I forget what was the Big Ten score that beat Ohio State in the Big Ten championship.
That was close. That was 13-10.
Yeah, it was a little closer. Yeah, absolutely. So they didn't run through like everything, but man, Alabama and Oregon, they just absolutely wiped the mat with them.
This team also went to Autzen last year and beat Oregon 30-20, like handled them on the road, went to Happy Valley, and it was a tight game. They had to settle it on a game-winning drive, but beat Penn State on the road. And then again, like you mentioned, Ohio State, Bama, Oregon, this was not an easy path by any means. This was not getting James Madison or Tulane in the first round.
No, absolutely not. Like they earned every bit of this and they haven't really paid the success tax. Now they lost a lot of guys because there was a lot of seniors there, but like, where's the success tax here? I was like, wait a minute, this team's like just reloaded.
It speaks to, because it's funny, it kind of goes back to Saban because Cignetti coached under Nick Saban when he took over at Bama early on. And Nick Saban doesn't like to waste time. Like if they have bad meetings between the coaches, then they're going to waste more time explaining it to players. And Cignetti has just taken that to a whole other level. So with his staff, like they don't run very long practices. Like during the week, hour and a half, 2 hours, all things considered, and they get out of there and they go home. And his assistants like working for him like that because they actually get to see their family. You know how rare that is for a college coach to go see their family? And not to mention they've been with Cignetti. This is their third stop with him now. They were hired being paid $10,000 a year initially, and they've just ridden with the man every stop of the way, and he's treated them fairly.
Yeah, and we'll see how much longer they can hang on to the two primary coordinators, Mike Shanahan and Bryant Haynes. Haynes has been a two-time Broyles finalist.
He won the Broyles last year.
Yeah, he won it last year, deservedly so. And like, there's a lot of talent on this team too.
Yep.
Oh yeah, and Stephen Daly, arguably their best defender, just got more eligibility, and he's coming back. That's 20 TFLs coming back to this team.
Yeah, he's back. This defense loaded up. Stephen Daly, Tyree Tucker, Elijah Hardy, Isaiah Jones, Amir Farrell, all coming back. And not to mention, he added both edge rushers from Kansas State and A.J. Harris, a corner from Penn State, who I like. Like, the defense is going to be nasty. Again, like, Brian Haynes is still there. Most of those guys returning are so familiar with the system, have at least 1 year in it. Some have two. I think it's going to be one of the best in the country again.
Absolutely, man. You named some of those names. You mentioned Isaiah Jones, who had 7 sacks from the linebacker position,
man.
Plus Stephen Daly. Like, they're going to get after the quarterback. They're going to play stout physical defense. And then, we'll get to the offense here in a minute, but I think it starts with this defense and just being balanced once again. It's just a quality team with a ton of talent on defense.
They're super complementary. Like the best teams play complementary football. There's a clear identity on both sides of the ball. They have an offensive identity, a defensive one, and they're just smothering defensively. Like you see some of the shots from the quarterback angle throughout the playoffs of what they're looking at. And it's just this defense moving as one unit together. It's not individual. It's just one unit. Now, I am fascinated to see how they handle the loss of D'Angelo Pons. Because last year they would leave him on an island a lot of the times on the backside and just know that's cleaned up. They're not afforded that luxury this year. They have some people stepping in. We'll see if they can live up to that billing. But that was one of the keys to their defense last year.
It was, yeah. Keep an eye on redshirt senior Jamari Sharp, who had 4 forced fumbles last year and 6 passes broken up. Really versatile player there. But Pons was just like a utility tool, man. Like just anything you needed that guy to do.
He was like pissed off Mike Sainer still.
Dude, I loved watching Pons last year. We both loved him because like he's short. He's like 5'9", but it didn't matter.
The dog. Like when he was going up against Jeremiah Smith, they both got their licks in, but he more than held his own in that matchup.
Yep, absolutely. So let's move over to the offense where obviously Heisman winner Fernando Mendoza moves on. They bring in former TCU quarterback Josh Hoover. He completed 66% of his passes last year, 29 touchdowns to 13 interceptions. Nick Marsh, who is a name you might recognize, also coming over. He'll probably slot in as their number one target. He had 660 yards and 6 tutties last year. And then Boston College running back Turbo Richards comes over. Are you kidding me with this? Excuse me, Turbo Richard. Either way, I like Turbo Richard. It's funnier.
I like Turbo Dick. We can just shorten it and just roll with that. But number one receiver is Charlie Becker. Put some respect on the name, the Big Ten championship hero, the back shoulder legend. I think that's going to be their number one. But yeah, pairing up with Marsh. Also, I think there's is Tyler Morris still floating around? I know he was injured last year, but
he's still on that team.
Any eligibility left? I know there's some red shirts mixed in and everything like that. But this offense is going to be very similar, a little more repair work to do compared to the defense. They do have the best left tackle in football, though. Carter Smith is an absolute stud. He's one of the best to do it. He's going to be the best again. So I think that's a good place to start and really help mitigate the loss of Pat Coogan at center as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this offense was a juggernaut last year. They were third in points per game. I mean, every week it was 40 points. Just week in, week out.
Yeah, it's much bigger loss. Like you mentioned Mendoza, but also both running backs, top 2 receivers, some offensive line guys in there. So some repairs to be made. Again, all of this is going to fall on the shoulders of Josh Hoover. Like he ran a ton of RPOs at TCU, so he has familiar with what Cignetti wants to do offensively. But can he cut down on the turnovers? Can he make better decisions?
Absolutely. And I think I'm a little higher on him than you, but I am nowhere near as high on Hoover as I was on Mendoza in this
No.
system. So, I
No.
mean, I think Hoover will be good because I trust the pedigree of the staff.
It's exactly. That's the thing that counts. And again, this is a team that it doesn't beat itself. It wins in the margins. They have one of the best kickers in the country because, of course, they do. Who's 18 of 19 last year coming back. And that's what we're hoping to see Michigan do again with Whittingham. What Harbaugh always did is you win the special teams battle. You don't beat yourself. Indiana's so difficult to beat because they rarely do those things, rarely lose those things.
Yes, absolutely. Now, this game is at home. Thank God. Not that Indiana is some crazy place to play, but like nonetheless, I'd rather it be at home than on the road.
Let's not forget Michigan played them very tight at home in Indiana 2 years ago. Like that was a very close game. If Michigan even had a heartbeat on offense in the second half, they win that game because the defense in the second half was smothering against Curtis Rourke in that unit. So have had some success.
Yeah, and it is interesting, not so much where this falls for Michigan. I like where this falls for Michigan on the schedule, but Indiana's kind of got a cakewalk up until this. Like this is their jump up in competition.
Well, before this week, the week before this week, they play Ohio State.
Oh, yeah, Ohio State and then Michigan. So it's like all of a sudden, but then there's nothing before that. Like if North Texas, it's like, who is on? Hofford is on this?
Howard. They have North Texas, Howard, Western Kentucky, Northwestern,
Rutgers, Nebraska, and then Ohio State, Michigan. So like a real jump up.
And Indiana, Ohio State could be the game of the year. Like there's going to be a lot of hype around that Big Ten championship rematch. And the question is for Indiana, can you get up twice? Yeah. Or is there emotional hangover involved in this one? Because the Ohio State game in Bloomington next week, you have to travel to Michigan. And if Michigan enters this game with one loss to Oklahoma, or if they trip up again, like it can be all hands on deck. They can be throwing everything they want at them. So I like where this falls in the schedule for Michigan.
I think so as well. October 24th. You're going to want to be locked in for this one. This is one. I mean, after Oklahoma, this is the next big one for us.
Yep. This is the big one. It comes a week after Penn State as well.
Yep. Any other thoughts on Indiana? Do we have the spread on that one yet?
No, there's no spread, but Indiana's over under for the season is 10.5, which is funny to me because if they go just under, that's 2 losses. That's as many as Sigs had in 2 years.
I'm not going to make the same mistake last year. I took under on Indiana. Not doing that again. I'm just not. If I lose, it's not going to be because I didn't trust Curt Cignetti. Like he's my favorite coach working right now.
Exactly. It's like, I'm like, fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice. You know, I'm not doing that again. Like I will bet on Curt Cignetti until he proves otherwise. And I can't wait to break down that game and see where both teams have fallen.
I can't wait, man. They're a fun team and they've just become like the best team in college football, the most well-run team. It's like them in Georgia. Never would have seen that coming.
You respect the way the programs run. Like it's so easy to just understand and see it because they literally came from nothing.
Yeah. So I wrote for strengths, championship pedigree, well-coached, balanced, deep, experienced, great coordinators, talented. Weaknesses, lots of departures. I just kind of don't care.
We saw it last year, though. I mean, we could have said the same thing before. I mean, like, they lost all these pieces. Are they going to replace Curtis Rourke? What are they going to do? It's like, they just got better at every single position. That's what they did.
I mean, they could get better this year because Cignetti's just getting better as a coach. Now, again, that quarterback, so much is going to rest on Josh Hoover's shoulders.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's the onus of the success is just firmly on him. Can he have those big moments? Because as dominant as Indiana was last year, they needed a game-winning drive to beat Iowa. They needed one to beat Penn State. They had a tight game against Ohio State in the Big Ten championship. But there's going to be moments of adversity, and one of those road moments could be this year at Michigan.
Absolutely. So exciting game. Looking forward to that one. Next up on the docket, Michigan travels to Rutgers. Rutgers last year was 5-7. Greg Schiano's still there. If you could do 5-7 at Rutgers, that's like about as good as you can hope. Schiano was born to get this team to 5-6 wins year in and year out. They were like dead middle of the pack in their points per game on offense. They were not good on defense. This was a team that struggled on defense, which is a little surprising for a Schiano coach team. I generally have a lot more respect for what they do defensively. That was just not the case for this Rutgers team last year.
Last year was kind of supposed to be the year with the Greek Rifle coming back, taking a step. We saw it the year before, finishing the year strong. We thought they were going to be good and they'd have moments offensively, but this team completely fell apart down the stretch. What did they drop? 2 of their final 9 games? They had 2 wins in their final 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, 2 wins in their final 9, 2-7 down the stretch. just completely fell apart. Were dismantled in some of these losses, 42-9 by Ohio State, 56-10 by Oregon, and just looked completely lost on defense. Like, actually, lost would be an improvement for them on defense. They were that bad. This team couldn't stop anybody. I think they were ranked number 131 in rush defense. It's not going to get it done in the Big Ten.
It is not. Yeah. Like, you'd rather have a good rush defense and then maybe give up a little bit in the passing game. That's just not going to cut it week in and week out. And that really goes to explain why they fell off a cliff last year. I am in on this Rutgers team for one reason and one reason alone. They have a player named Terrence Salami, and he's from Jersey, and he plays on the offensive line. Terry Salami from Jersey. Are you out of your damn mind?
I had no idea you were going to give me rotational offensive linemen on this podcast. You talk about doing the work. This guy, I saw the note. I had to look him up because he's not a starter, not a returning starter. And I was like, who is Terry Salami? I was like, did Jared copy and paste something wrong in the doc? And then I looked up, I was like, oh no, he's kind of like a reserve. He plays frequently. He's
a real dude.
I guess it all falls on Salami and what they're going to do. I really thought you were going to say Antoine Raymond there, the stud running back. So
no,
that was a great swerve. This team's going to be bad. This team's going to be bad. I mean, they do have two of the best skill position players in the Big Ten in wide receiver KJ Duff and Raymond, but I don't know what they're doing on the left side of the offensive line. The defense has been completely overhauled. There's a huge question mark at quarterback, but this team could still win some games. I mean, their schedule, they don't play Ohio State, they don't play Oregon, and they don't have a West Coast road trip.
Oh, that's so rare.
Yeah, I was shocked by that because I was like doing some over-under prep for our pod later this month, and I was like, wait, what? Like, how am I getting close to this? I don't think this team is very good, but you factor in Shiano, you factor in Raymond and Duff, it's like, okay, could they flirt with 5 wins? There's a case, but I still don't think this team is going to be very good.
I'm not very high on this team outside of Terry Salami. You named the two names that I wanted to touch on. KJ Duff had over 1,000 yards receiving and 7 touchdowns last year.
Good.
Antoine Raymond ran for 1,213 touchdowns. Good. So that's a lot of production coming back for those guys. They bring in some transfers to try and shore up that defensive line, including Malachi Davis from Toledo. So I'll be keeping an eye on him. But these guys are coming over from smaller schools, and they're being expected to come in and like fix this atrocious, porous run defense. I'm skeptical. Let's leave it at that.
Also, another weird scheduling thing with Rutgers. The Michigan game is their first home game in a month on their schedule.
Bizarre.
They go Indiana bye week, at Maryland, at Northwestern, then Michigan comes back. I will say, if this is a night game, underrated night environment is Rutgers. It's a pretty good night environment. Like the 2022 game, I was watching it recently. I was like, man, this is kind of electric here. Too bad the team's no good. And I think that's going to be the case again. I mean, this used to be the game that really like struck some fear into us because 2021, it was really tight down to the wire and that forced fumble from Junior Colson to win. In 2023, they got out to that 7-0 lead when Rodmore missed the tackle early. And it was like, okay, all right, Rutgers, I'm not having fun anymore. Can we knock this off? So it's kind of shocking they've fallen so far back. And if Shiano can get to 7 wins, I guess you build the statue already, but it just feels like this is going to be another season right around 5 wins.
Yeah, and a strong candidate to be involved in the mid-bowl, whatever the mid-bowl ends up being. I wouldn't be surprised if Rutgers is one of those participants. Feels very mid. It feels like, once again, this is a 5-7 team. If they get to a bowl game, I think this will be a successful season. There's a huge question mark at quarterback, which I think you mentioned already, but like, if you don't have your quarterback figured out and you can't stop the run, like, I hate that combination of weaknesses for this team. Any concern with this being right after Indiana? Like, say Michigan gets up and finds a way to beat Indiana. Is there any concern, like, can you get up again for Rutgers? Or you maybe overlooking them?
If their run defense is in the
middle of the pack,
if it's vicinity of where it was last year, I'm not concerned at all because Michigan can run the ball on anybody in their sleep. That's what I think they're going to be able to do this year. And that rush defense, that's not the recipe for an upset.
Nope, I'm with you there. Any other thoughts on this matchup? I think Michigan's going to roll in this one.
I think so too. Oh, fun game for Rutgers though. So one of their quarterbacks in their quarterback battle is Dylan Lonergan, transferred from Boston College. They actually played Boston College week 2, so could be a little revenge game to tune into.
I remember that name. Yes, absolutely. Interesting. Yeah, let's move on, shall we?
Next game
indeed. And I'd like to get excited about this one because it's those scumbags down the road, but I don't think this is a very good Michigan State team, sir. So excited to talk about them. They are bringing over a coach that we both have a great deal of respect for, but
Yes.
I don't know that this kind of move for this kind of program, like what he was able to do, and he is Pat Fitzgerald that we're referring to here, coming over to the Michigan State Spartans, was like get the most out of his guys, bring competence. Like, is that what Michigan State's looking for? Is like to just get back to being decent. And I think that you can do that with Pat Fitzgerald. I think you can get back to respectability, but I have serious questions about the ceiling of this team. I have very serious questions about this team this year. Down the road, maybe we'll see Fitzgerald gets in there, gets his guys in there year 4. Maybe you're like, oh, wow, 9 wins for Michigan State. I don't think this is a very good roster right now.
I think it's one of the worst rosters in the Big Ten.
It's bad.
You and I were talking about this a week or so ago. I was just like having a visceral reaction to how bad I thought this roster was going through. I'm like, this is awful for a Big Ten school to have this. Now, I mean, I think I like one player a lot. James Hall, is that his name? Jordan Hall, excuse me. Jordan Hall's a stud. Jordan Hall's a big difference maker on this team at linebacker. But then you look at everybody else and it's like, you return one full-time offensive starter and that's your right tackle who has 12 games. Okay.
Yeah.
You do some work in the portal. Oh, you brought in Fred Moore. Okay.
And they're like excited about him. They're like, Fred Moore's going to be a difference maker for us. And I'm like, he is not.
He is. Charles Brantley came back from Miami because he wasn't playing. So left Michigan State, went to Miami, and now he's back again. It's going to be a long rebuild, man. It's not going to happen this year. It's all about just trying to take some steps, building from the rubble. Because if you look back at the Jonathan Smith era, I mean, Michigan State only had 4 total wins because all wins between 22 and 24 were vacated. Can't relate to that. So it's like, can you build from that? Can you take a step? And that's for this Michigan game. This is not just their Super Bowl. This is everything to them. This win counts as 3. Michigan State has a bye week coming into this game, so they have more time to prepare. They're going to come in throwing everything, kitchen sink. They're going to throw Mel Tucker. They're going to throw whatever they have in the closet, everything at Michigan in this one to get the win because this game is that important.
If they're going to take any type of a step this year, it starts with their quarterback, presumed starter, Alessio Milivojevic. I don't know if I'm saying that correctly. I'm sure I'm not. But the sophomore threw for 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. It was mostly like later in the season, and a lot of the numbers came in like garbage time. They were 1-8 in conference last year. So, I mean, there's just not a lot to point to be like, oh, look at this game that he had here. But I think he's competent. I do think he's competent. Does he scare me in any way, shape, or form? He does not, but he's a bigger quarterback, and he didn't turn the ball over a lot. So if you are making me say something nice, I think I like their ability to stay on schedule this year with the offense. I don't know how explosive it's going to be, but I think it'll stay on schedule.
What's interesting about that, though, is new offensive coordinator, old buddy Nick Sheridan, comes from the Kalen DeBoer school of thought, though. That's a heavy quarterback reliant scheme. So is he going to be able to shoulder that kind of burden this offense when running games under Sheridan and DeBoer, especially recently, have been a little bit shaky? So can Milovich just throw the ball 35 times a game and lead this offense up and down the field? I feel like they might be asking too much of him, and I don't know if that style is going to fit the Michigan State identity, similar to the misstep Luke Fickell made early in his career with Wisconsin in the air raid.
Yeah, no, that's totally fair. They do bring over Cam Edwards, transfers over from UConn, where he ran for 1,200 yards, but that was for UConn, and like now you're coming to the Big Ten. Does that translate? You already mentioned the offensive line needs basically a full rebuild. Yeah, man, I don't really know what else there is to say. I look up and down this roster, and it's very hard for me to get excited about what they're fielding this year.
It's tough. I think the retainer of Joe Rossi at defensive coordinator, I thought that was a shrewd move. I think he's a good DC. Like he does some things there. I like having a coach on the staff to help carry over. And you look at the schedule for them, it's not the end of the world. You avoid Ohio State, but you do get Notre Dame on your non-con. That's not fun. And you get Oregon at home if you want to point to something like that. That's exciting. But I see it really tough to go over. They're over under set at 4.5 right now.
Yeah, I don't know if they can make a bowl game. I'd be very, very
I'd be
surprised if this
shocked they
team.
made a bowl game.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't see this team able to rally to get to that bowl game. And like you mentioned, the defense, like, yeah, I tend to agree with you. They were still 104 in scoring defense
Exactly.
last year.
That's
So
the
like, there's
thing,
not
yeah.
even the results. It's like I have some respect for him, what he's able to do, getting more out of guys. But like, it wasn't a very good defense, wasn't an explosive offense. They found something with the quarterback, but like, you are putting a lot on this kid's shoulders, like right out of the gate. Like, you need to be our entire offense.
And also, let's not forget that. I mean, Pat Fitzgerald, obviously, he got screwed at the end of his tenure at Northwestern, but it wasn't going swimmingly. In 3 of his last 4 years, in 2019, 3-9, COVID 7-2, then 3-9, and then 1 of 11 in his final season there.
Yeah.
Kind of entering in the new era of college football. So is he going to be able to keep up now at Michigan State with more resources, admittedly, than Northwestern? But nonetheless, like, this is a new era of college football.
Would it surprise you if we're having a conversation in 3 years and it's basically just like another Jonathan Smith and this doesn't get much better or worse and it's just kind of more of the same?
The hire kind of feels that way, right? You're bringing in another adult in the room to just steady the program and get him back to respectability. It's like, didn't we just do this 3 years ago?
Yeah. I don't know that we've made meaningful gains with this coaching hire. And I respect what Pat Fitzgerald does. So for strengths, I wrote adult in the room, but we said that about Jonathan Smith. So like, I really don't know what to make of this. Weaknesses, I wrote, this is probably the worst roster in the Big Ten.
It's a very bad roster. And like, again, when you're getting excited about Fred Moore coming over, like, I just don't know if that's going to be the answer. So I don't know. It's a long road to climb. I mean, this would be a hell of a coaching job if Fitzgerald can turn it around this quickly. So again, though, expect them to throw everything at Michigan, because especially where it falls in the schedule for them, it's going to be a kitchen sink game. And even the bad Michigan State teams the last couple of years have given Michigan some fits.
I think it'll tell us a lot about what this Pat Fitzgerald tenure is going to be like. If they're playing us tight and it like feels like some of those old, like really annoying Michigan State contests, during the, their heyday, they're around like the 2011s. Yeah. The D'Antonio heyday. Or if it's just more of the same and it's just like, this team cannot compete talent wise. And like, I don't know. We'll know on October, or no, this is in November. I think we're into November now, boyo. Yes, we are. So yeah. So it'll be going to be colder.
Is this going to be the most respectful head coaching battle between Michigan and Michigan State in a long time?
I know. All the hate's going to be between the fans, but these coaches are going to be like, yeah, I like that guy. We're grabbing a beer after the game.
I know. Just all complete respectability between them. It's very interesting finishing up this 4th of Michigan schedule. It's kind of like you open up, you have 2 easy games with Western Michigan and UTEP. And Oklahoma in the middle. Then you have a little harder stretch. You have
competent stretch. Yeah.
Iowa, Minnesota,
Penn State. Yep.
And then now you get to this one and it's like a hard game, and then 2 easy games, and then you enter the brutal finale.
Right. And then you end on an absolute tear. But I think Michigan should expect to go no less than 2-1 in this 3-game stretch. Like no less than 2-1. If you drop to Rutgers or Michigan State, this is gonna be a tough season, brother. Particularly this Michigan State team. If you lose this, it might ruin the damn season.
It would. Then you're looking at 7-5 or something like that realistically, and that's not good. That's not acceptable.
Not going to cut it. So should go at least 2-1. If you can find a way to go 3-0 in this stretch, oh brother, you and I are going to have some takes.
Oh, we're going to have takes. The one good thing about this schedule, though, is if you drop Oklahoma and you drop Indiana, everything's still in front of you. Everything's in front of you. You have one conference, and you have at Oregon and Ohio State a chance to run the table down the stretch.
Absolutely. And if you beat Oregon and Ohio State with those 2 losses, they really care about how you're playing at the end. And Michigan is going to have a chance to rattle off some meaningful victories late in this schedule. So got to handle business against the dregs of the Big Ten, which is Rutgers and Michigan State. And then, we've already talked at length about Indiana and the respect we have for them. So fascinating part of this schedule here. Just getting excited, man. Just talking ball again. It's good stuff, brother.
I was getting nervous doing some Michigan State research, and then I started reading their players, and I was like, okay, I feel better.
I was like, who are these people? All right, brother, let's take a break. When we come back, moving over to the defense as we continue our season preview, we are talking linebackers, cornerbacks, and safety. In this one, we'll be back right after this. All right, we are back. We are righteous men. College football is very good, and we are talking some college football. Moving our way through this Michigan roster, we covered the offense in the last two podcasts. Moving over to the defense, we got linebackers and the secondary. Was really struggling to decide, like, should we break up the secondary? Should we talk about it all at once? Ultimately decided to break this up. I think they're two distinct, separate conversations. And then obviously linebackers need to be broken up. Let's start with the linebackers, I think, because we've talked about this group in some other podcasts where obviously, this isn't breaking news. There was some concern here looking at this roster. And I mean, we were eyeing this out last year. Once you lose some of those guys, once you lose Jimmy Rolder, and once you lose a Cole Sutherland, like, what's the plan here, guys? I'm feeling a little better about the linebacker position, but I still am not overly high. I'm not over the moon about this group.
I don't know if I'm actually feeling better or I'm just talking myself into it and just like drinking the Kool-Aid from all the Kyle Whittingham clips. I don't know if that's what's going on, but I do feel encouraged. Like it just feels like, okay, there's some upside here, something to invest in, something to buy into, because there was so much unknown coming into the offseason. I think that's where you and I were we landed. We couldn't have a take. It's like, I feel like it's just below average because I don't know anything else.
Yeah, it sounds like it's going to be some combination of Nate Staling, Troy Bowles, and Chase Taylor as your starters there. That could obviously change. That really hurts me with my Owusu Boateng stock being absolutely over leveraged, but that sounds about right. And Nate Staling is kind of the guy that you've heard him talk about. They are excited about Chase Taylor, but to your earlier point, like, is that them, like, someone's got to be the starter here? Are they just saying these guys are the starters, or like, is this actually a really good room?
Yeah, that's where it comes down to. Obviously, this is the weak link room on the team. I think we're in agreement there, right? Like this is. This is honestly, like there's a crevasse between the two. It's like, okay, this is the team where it falls off, and it's like I do like to see some battles being sorted out early though, and hearing the names of like Staling, Taylor, Bowles being mentioned at the top, because for so often we hear battles going into the fourth week at camp, and you always brought up a great point. It's like these are two average players battling it out. Like if they're that average, it's just going to be average at the position. One of them is bad. That's what it's going to boil down to. So I like seeing some guys already separate themselves a week into it. Like, okay, maybe there are some players here because, didn't get Staling in spring, didn't get a look at him there. Chase Taylor, again, just stepping into year 2 in this scheme, and Troy Bowles being used differently. So it's like, okay, now we can get a proper evaluation, and some guys are really seizing those advantages. So it's like, okay, we're starting to see this defense in totality, and it feels good that these guys are ahead of the pack.
Yeah, as far as depth on this team, obviously mentioned Nathaniel Owusu Boateng. So that's, the name that everyone's watching. If someone's going to break out and be a star, he has the highest recruiting pedigree. That doesn't necessarily mean anything, but he was the most highly sought after of these guys. Outside of that, it's Celesi Moa's brother. It's Tony Alford's son. It's freshman Markel Dabney. It is, can Tariq Boney make a move over to linebacker? Haven't heard anything about that. Something that we floated when we were doing our freshman pod. Is Aiden Reeder ready this year? Can he come in and play some minutes? So not only am I a little concerned about the high end talent, I don't love this depth either.
Yeah, Caden Ketching's another one to mix in there. I still think one of the best linebackers on this team is playing the wrong position.
Mason Curtis?
Yeah. I still think Mason Curtis should move to linebacker, but that's a different conversation. I do like Markel Dabney. I liked what we saw a little bit in the spring game there. There was some flying around. There was some hit, and he and Bobby Conca had that one hit. And I was like, okay, this is a good step for a 3-star being on campus for 6 weeks. I'm really encouraged by that. But no, this is a room that they need to see Chase Taylor especially hit early on. Like if Boateng can get in there and step up as well, that's an added bonus. But they have to have Chase Taylor to have a foundation for the next season. Otherwise, this is immediately a portal destination in the offseason. And I think that's why you're seeing the Houseman rumor circulate.
Right, because they see it the same way we do. It's like, even if these 3 guys are good to go and ready to roll, we have got to get some depth in here. Like Owusu Boateng's going to have to play. There's just one tweaked ankle, and it's like, oh boy, Ayesi Moa minutes. I don't know how enthused you are about that. I mean, we'll see.
NCAA ranked him better than Chase Taylor, so what do we know?
So I think we know more than them, at least on that topic as well. And then Freddie Ford next year is kind of the next guy, but I mean, he's not going to be on the roster this year, but that's the next guy I'm excited about. So they've got to get some talent into this room. I still think it's going to be a transfer portal destination for linebacker this coming off season. This isn't going to cut it in the Big Ten. I'm not saying it's like disastrous. Nate Stalling made a lot of tackles for North Dakota State. He's played a lot of ball. That's really great there. Chase Taylor has some athleticism upside there. Tro Bowles, I think, can do some stuff for you. Was really good on special teams. Flies around out there. I think he could be pretty solid in coverage. It's not, the sky isn't falling, but this room could use a boost for sure.
Be better than the gap. Be better than this.
Than the gap. Yeah, that's all we're asking here.
It should be better. They don't have, I don't see a high-end star on this team. I don't see a Devin Bush. I don't see a Junior Colson on this team.
Junior Colson, no.
Yeah, it's can we be serviceable? Can we just not be a complete sieve in the middle part of this defense to help and run support? Jay Hill uses his linebackers a lot, especially in blitzes. You'll see him in coverage. He likes to mix and match. They have to be versatile, has to carry a lot of water for this unit. So they're going to be important here. And if they can just be an average unit, I think that's a massive win for the personnel.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about the secondary. There is help behind them. There is help in front of them. So that's going to really take some of the burden off there. But yeah, forget no Junior Colson or Devin Bush. It's is there a Cam McGrone on this team? Is there a middle of the pack? Is there somebody that can even sniff all Big Ten? I don't know, man. So let's get into the categories here a little bit, because I think that'll help sort it out for this group here. So let's start here. Who's the best player in this room? I wrote Chase Taylor ?
Chase Taylor, Nate Stalling. I think that's where you want to take your pick there. I do want to submit a dark horse case for Tro Bowles, because I think he's going to be used heavily as a blitzer this year. And last year at BYU in Jay Hill's defense, his top 2 sack guys were linebackers. Also top 2 in defensive tackles. Defensive tackles. Top 2 in tackles
TFLs
for loss were linebackers. They're going to be used a lot. And Tro Bowles, I think, is an exceptional blitzer. Whittingham's already called him the most athletic player in the linebacking room. So I think that could be a sneaky guy to watch. If you talk about wanting to find that Cam McGrone, early Cam McGrone uses a blitzer, this could be that answer.
Yeah, no, that's a really good take and good work by you digging that out. They certainly want to get their linebackers involved, and they want those guys moving downhill. Do they have the talents to do it? I think there's a baseline competence with Nate Stalling. So I'm pretty comfortable with what he's going to bring. I don't know how high the ceiling is, but I feel good about the floor there. Chase Taylor, I would say, of the guys that we've mentioned so far, has the highest ceiling. I've already mentioned Owusu Boateng way too many times, but he didn't get the weight that we were hoping to see this offseason, and that really kind of soured me on can he be an every down player? Now, I mean, there's still a month until football. You can put on weight in a month. He really needs to if he's going to be involved this year. And then, these freshmen are really going to get an opportunity here. So next category, X Factor or breakout player, who you got?
I'm going to go with freshman in this one, I'm not going to go with freshman on this one. I'm going to go. Chase Taylor is a breakout still, right? We've talked about him enough, but Chase Taylor's my breakout then. If you want to go Stalling at the top or Tro Bowles, Chase Taylor's the one here. I've had a lot of stock on him early on last season. I was he's playing more, he's producing more than Boateng. I know he doesn't have the pedigree coming out of high school, but he's really worked his ass off. He has the size you want at the linebacker position.
Yeah.
I think he could take on a lot. I think it would honestly be great for him to learn from a Stalling. I love that we keep mixing those up during this discussion.
We'll get it right.
To be able to learn from him for a year. So he doesn't have to just shoulder being the green dot in the middle of the defense as a true sophomore in a new defense.
Yeah, all very reasonable takes. I went X Factor, and it's Owusu Boateng. If he can get up to weight and he can get on the field, there's certainly talent there. He tracks the ball really well, but a lot of what he does well, Tro Bowles already does and does better. So he's got a little bit of a mountain to climb there. But if he does hit, I like the pedigree, like what his brother did for Notre Dame and now the Cleveland Browns. So certainly can play. He's got a hill to climb still. So let's go freshman stock investment here. Who you got?
Dabney. Talked on him a little bit earlier. It's going deep here. I mean, I think either Ketchens or Reeder, one of them could eventually play running back, kind of their build. You can't help but watch their high school tape and just see Khalil Mullings just coming at you, or Hassan Haskins, it's of that ilk. But I think Dabney here, I'm going really early on. There's been some reports about him being a leader also off the field, so I'm obviously into that. And just a little sample size I have, I saw that big hit. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to bank on that hit for the next 3 years that he's here and be like, we'll always have that moment. So I'm just going to keep building off that take.
Yeah, we made that mistake with Brandon Peters for one spring game, and we're solved. We've got this figured out.
Is Peyton Manning too low?
Yeah, exactly. I wrote, if Tariq Boney makes the move to linebacker, he could immediately play this year. But Dabney is the other guy. I do like what I saw from Aiden Reeder. I wasn't like over the moon about it, but I think there's a talented player in Aiden Reeder as well that I think could be worth watching for sure.
Those guys are interesting because, despite being the lower ranked recruits, that's what Whittingham has done best throughout his career. So if someone's going to get the most out of lower ranked recruits, it's Kyle Whittingham and the staff.
Nope, I'm with you there. Let's keep moving through the categories here. Strength and weaknesses of the room. Go ahead.
Strength, youthful upside is what I put down.
There you go. That's spinning it. That's a great spin.
The weaknesses, high end ceiling, experience, depth, learning a new scheme, use in the new scheme. We can keep going if we want. I don't want to be too negative.
Yeah, there's quite a bit. I wrote the pursuit should be good between Taylor and Bowles. I like the pursuit to the ball. I trust Staling as a good tackler in the middle of it there. So it's like, okay, that's a pretty solid, competent baseline. Should be able to pursue to the ball. I like your take about maybe having some pass rush upside with this group, I think is there as well. But yeah, you nailed all the weaknesses, man. It's like, is there an all Big Ten linebacker anywhere on this roster? Forget like starting. Like, what about even down the road?
So Josh Ross.
Yeah. Like, is there a Josh Ross? I would love a Josh Ross. Josh Ross would come in and crush it for us right now.
So I think in this room, I'm kind of circling back a little bit, overarching. Could it be just the 2021 linebacker room, which was Josh Ross, Nikai Hill-Green, a true freshman Junior Colson, so not the finished product. You have him.
Yeah.
You have the Michael Barrett wild card. And it's like,
yeah,
could you fill in those gaps? Like, you can squint. If you squint, you can see it.
You got to squint, though. You really got to squint. Yeah, I'm with you on that one. If you could bring one historical player to the room, I'm going to go ahead and go out on a limb and say any of these guys that we named would help this room. But yeah, who you got, brother?
1996, Jared Irons. He helped oversee the transition from Gary Muller to Lloyd Carr, really kept the program together, and I think he'd be shine in that role for Kyle Whittingham.
I love it. I wrote David Harris, Larry Foote, Ron Simpkins. I don't care. Give me anyone.
A good linebacker in Michigan history, the end. Andy Cannavino, Andy Moeller. We'll get some of these guys in here. Calvin O'Neill.
Dude, how about just Cole Sullivan doesn't leave and goes to freaking Oklahoma? That would have helped.
Traitor.
Absolute traitor. I hope we beat the brakes off of him in week 2. Yeah, we could use some help here. Rank the position group out of 5. We will do a full overall ranking once we wrap this up. So for now, we're just doing on the defense. I've got it 5 of 5. It's the worst room. It's spoiler. It's the worst room on the team.
It's 5 of 5. It's 10 of 10.
It's 10 of 10. It's the worst room on the team. So yeah, we'll go ahead and spoil that one for you. And look, we could be way wrong and it could end up being serviceable like that comp that you made. But as of right now, as we stand on Monday, August 10th, this is the worst room on the team. So overall grade of this room, I put it at a C-. I'm not trying to go much lower than C- on any of these grades right now. D feels too discourteous, but I can't go any higher than C- either.
I was in the C- D+ range, so we see it very, very similarly. Like D+ just felt kind of mean. Like it's fall camp. I'm trying to be optimistic here, so I'm going to say C-.
Yeah, and maybe Chase Taylor's awesome this year. Yeah. And it's like, no, this all worked out. Like
it could change things. We don't know what that ceiling is like. I'm trying to look at other linebacker rooms that overperform. Maybe 2015, Joe Bolden, Desmond Morgan, and Royce Jenkins Stone.
I like that. I think we can get to that level. And that was fine. We made it do.
That was a very good defense. So they can, I think they can be better than that. It's like, so if they can get better than that was, so I think that's capable. Also, Alex Whittingham, a very much adult in the room with NFL experience coming in to lead this team. So I like having him in the room. Again, obviously comes from the Whittingham tree in more than one way. So I like having that connection. Whittingham, also a former linebacker himself. So I think he might be paying a little bit more close attention to this.
There's a lot of eyes on this room too. So opportunity for improvement. Let's spin it there. Let's move to cornerbacks here. And man, separating cornerbacks and safety made this very interesting because if you just go secondary, it's a much easier conversation. It's like, yeah, this is the best unit on the team, like no doubt about it. However you want to rank it, but when you split it up, it's like, okay, where is the strength of this secondary here? So this is a very good cornerback room. Obviously, we know the starters up at the top with Jair Hill, Zeke Berry, Smith Snowden will be involved in this. I expect him to see quite a bit of time out there. Some great nickname possibilities for Smith Snowden, too. We already talked about the whistleblower, but what about the locksmith?
I like the locksmith.
I think I like that more than the whistleblower.
Better chance of catching than Swamp Thing.
Don't you give up on Swamp Thing. I got the t-shirts in the mail. Yeah, man. So quarterbacks, Jair Hill, Zeke Berry, Smith Snowden, Shamari Earls was just mentioned today as a player that's really starting to get into the mix. This is tremendous news because we kind of had Shamari Earls as like, is it now or never? This guy's transferring. So Shamari Earls working his way into this, I think is meaningful at this point right now. And then the good news is it's like, it doesn't fall off a cliff either. Like those are your guys, but it doesn't fall off a cliff. There's still some names here.
There's some names in this. Actually encouraged me. Rod Moore spoke to the media recently, said Shamari Earls, as you mentioned, took a huge leap and is going to step up this year. And the next two corners he mentioned were freshman Jam Vincent and former receiver Amarian Stewart. Said he's taken the position like a natural DB.
I like this. Not one that I even really had written in my notes there. JoJo Edmonds is still on this team as well. Don't know if you still have any stock there. I've sold a lot of it.
Sold a lot.
But I mean, I sold a lot. I still think he can be a useful depth piece for you. Jam Vincent, I also have kind of competing for those for some snaps this year. You might not be able to redshirt Jam Vincent because we're going to lose a lot of guys in this secondary after this year. So we need to get some of these young guys some reps. Other guys that are on this team that you could hear, Jeremiah Lowe, Josh Nichols. There's quite a dearth of safeties that we're going to talk about. I'd be interested to see is like, Jordan Young, could you play any cornerback? Like, so there's a lot of DBs on this team. The secondary, the cornerback room is like a little less. I'm a little less enthusiastic than the safeties, but like that's 5 names that I feel pretty good about.
Yeah, you're a little more optimistic if you're going to mention Nichols down there. I'm not. I don't have any stock.
No stock, but I'm just throwing names out there.
I like the top end of this room a lot. Zeke Berry, Smith Snowden, and Jair Hills, one of the best 3 you can imagine at the top. Like, okay, I feel really good about this. Everyone's serviceable. There's a lot of versatility.
Ring holders, ring bearers.
I love all of that. And even Shamari Earls, like I still need to see it. To see it. But I like hearing all this talk. So there's a 4 deep right there. But then I start to get concerned. Like, what if one player has to miss some time? How does that mess up the rotation? Is that putting Jam Vincent into a rotational spot that he's not ready for? Thankfully, we're not playing in the Sherrod Moore era when you're just trying to be hardball and keep rotating everybody in the back end. Your guys, the main guys are going to play most of the snaps here. Like, it's not going to be a heavy rotation. So you're going to see Smith, Snowden, Hill, Berry playing the majority, as they should. So I think it's going to limit it, but it's also going to increase the likelihood for potential injury, which does make me nervous.
Hill and Berry, man, that is a lot of snaps. That's a lot of wins. That's a lot of experience right up at the top. If we would have kept Jaden Sanders and brought in Smith Snowden, I think this is the best room on the team.
Jaden Sanders, that one, it's tough for me because and like when I think about it, Jaden Sanders, could that ultimately be a bigger loss than Cole Sullivan? You're younger as well. So yeah. It could factor in. I mean, that depth and how well he played early on. I mean, if JoJo Edmond, that's another guy like you mentioned.
Swing player kind of.
He's got to really step up here for this depth to hold up throughout the season. Because at the top, I feel as good as anybody. I mean, it's not the star level. It's not like a Will Johnson, Mikey Sainristil room, but it's very reminiscent of David Long, Lavert Hill, something like that.
That's the comp. Yeah. Where it's just like, this is baseline competence with like a little bit of a ceiling here. Like this can only go so badly.
Exactly. But the good news is their third corner isn't Brandon Watson. It's Smith Snowden, who's much better.
Smith Snowden, stud too, by the way. Smith
very
Snowden,
good player.
Like, I think we might be burying the lead. Like that's a really good player they brought in that's ready to go right now.
Yeah. Who played a lot of offense last year at Utah too.
Yeah, he did. I don't know that we need that. I think we need the secondary depth way more.
Exactly.
Quite a bit more, actually. So he'll be on defense. He'll play a lot. I would expect to see him week 1 starting. Yeah, you're right. Like JoJo Edmonds and Jam Vincent feel important to this room because the depth, it doesn't fall off a cliff, but it starts sliding down a hill a little bit.
You get more concerned, especially in this J Hill scheme where they're going to be playing a lot more man coverage. Like you're going to need these guys to step up. But another thing that makes me feel good about so many players acclimating is it Gennaro Guilford, as we just found out, is apparently a defensive pass game guru, at least at Athlon Sports from his time at BYU. So I think he's going to have a massive impact on this scheme overall and on this room.
Yeah, and he's got talent and experience. Like we said, these are ring holders in the secondary. Like these guys were on that national championship team. Didn't play a ton in the national championship run, but I mean, they were a part of those programs. They were a part of winning.
They beat Ohio State.
beat Ohio State. They played a shit ton of snaps last year. I mean, these guys didn't miss much time. They were both pretty sturdy, which I like in my cornerbacks. Like, didn't miss a lot of time. Didn't Jair have some injuries like 2 years ago?
Well, he was kind of struggling. He was in the doghouse. He got his number, taken from him.
Yeah, we're a ways away from that, though.
Yeah, way far away. But how rare is it in college football to have two corners? I mean, Barry's kind of moved positions around a little bit on the defense, but 2 3-year starting corners together. That's so rare, especially in today's at college football.
Yeah, absolutely, man. So it's a really good room. Let's get into the categories here. Best player. I can't believe we're still having this discussion. We've gone back and forth on who the best player is in this room like 5 or 6 times. I still don't have a concrete answer. I know where I'm going. And in this scheme, I think Jair Hill's going to have a big year. I think Jair Hill loves this scheme. I think he's going to feast in this. I think he's going to shut down half of the field. Zeke Berry might move to nickel. We'll see about that. Zeke Berry has played some safety. There's too much safety depth in front of him for that to make much sense. But moving to nickel could make sense. And Smith Snowden could move to boundary if that's what you feel. Or if Shamari Earls is that dude, that could really throw a wrench into it. I've got Jair Hill by the thinnest of margin.
Pick one of 3. I was going to say I've been on Zeke Berry Island. You've been on Jair Island. Why don't we just meet on Smith Snowden Island? Just go with him here to balance it all out. I don't think you can go wrong with any of them. Like, pick your preference there. I do think we could see a very big year from Zeke Berry at the nickel position if he goes there. I think he could thrive, especially like in this scheme.
Yeah, one of these guys needs to get their hands on some passes. And I mean turnovers, because Jair Hill got his hands on them, but he did not bring them in. It is frustrating on rewatch. He should have had like 5 picks and 2 tutties last year. 2 of them were pick sixes.
Should have led the Big Ten in interceptions last year. Like, just dropped
because he's all over his guys. He's all over his dude.
And he had the nasty one in the Ohio State game. Like, I mean, we finally needed it. The team let him down. But it's like, yes, Jair, put it all together. Bring all the total passion. Because if Jair Hill does put it all together, then he is the best player in this room.
Yes, exactly. And that's what I'm going with. I've seen enough. He's not out of position. He is a willing tackler. He's very athletic. He's fluid out there. Like I said, I like him going man to man. I think that's going to serve him very well. But yeah, it's a really good room, particularly with those top 3. And there's not a huge difference in skill there, like with those guys. So no wrong answers there. X Factor or breakout player. I'm thinking we're going to have the same guy here.
Shamari Earls.
It's Shamari Earls, right?
Yeah, in bold, like it has to be. Like we talked about last year, he really struggled in that more zone-heavy scheme under Wink Martindale. So I think this scheme is going to help him more than anybody. You talk about this scheme helping out Jair Hill. Shamar Earls came to Michigan as a man-to-man specialist. Like, that's what he did. And now having this coaching around him in this scheme that fits his skill set, there's a reason he stuck around. He knew he wasn't going to start. It was clear. But he's going to have a lot of chance to play, and I think he's going to shine.
He might have his highest ceiling as anyone on this defense not named Carter Meadows or John Henry Daly.
That's fun. He's definitely the most talented player in this room, like just flat out ceiling wise, because he kind of like he's like a combination of Berry and Hill, like in terms of like skill set. And you can see it there. So I don't think that's a crazy take at all.
No, there's some Will Johnson in his game, man. He's he's a stud. So yeah, he's my breakout player also in bold. Freshman stock investment. I'm thinking we're going to have the same player here as well.
Feels pretty simple on this one to just say it's going to be Jan Vincent.
Yep. And I mean, what a great cornerback name. So stock, I'm in the middle of the night calling up my broker and I'm like, you know what? Another 20 on red.
He's a really good run defender. It's one of the first things I wrote down watching his high school tape is a fearless run defender. Now, there's some technique stuff he needs to clean up, but I think like just having that run defense already down is a big step for a freshman.
Yep, I'm with you. I think eventually there could be something really cooking there with Jam Vincent, Shamari Earls. And Smith Snowden has 1 more year of eligibility.
I think he's out. He
might be out after this one. It's impossible to keep up. So there could be a judge ruling tomorrow.
Exactly.
And it's like Ty Law's back on this team. Strengths and weaknesses. I wrote top end talent, championship experience, tackling, physicality, man-to-man defenses. Weaknesses, proven depth behind your starters.
Literally what I have down. Covered it all.
Yeah, I mean, this one's a little bit easier than some of the other rooms to break down there. If you could bring one historical player to the room, this is kind of an interesting one because it's like, where could we use somebody?
If you wanted to go with like a higher end star, I think that's where you could go. Like if you wanted to really just bring somebody over the top.
We've had a few.
Okay. Yeah, there have been a few in Michigan history. I went really simple with this one because it's a play. Like, again, I think this was a better season than the follow-up. I mean, 2015 Jordan Lewis.
Oh, I love it. Had him on my long list as well.
You want a man-to-man guy that can go out there and discover. He did it in a Don Brown defense the next year, and did it in a DJ Durkin one the year before. So we have seen it, played in 3 different schemes in 3 different years and excelled in all of them. I think he'd pick up this thing like a hand in a glove. You could leave him on an island and just forget about him.
Yeah, I'll go a little off book here. Charles Woodson. You might have heard of him. I think
maybe so.
Might help this team. Ty Law, Mikey Sainers still would be a lot of fun. Bring back someone more recent. Will Johnson would also love this scheme, I think.
Will Johnson's health concerns me, especially playing this many snaps. I think he'd break down. He broke down in 2024.
Yeah, that's fair. He was lower on my list. Jordan Lewis was very high on my list because I was like, dude, Jordan Lewis with Jair Hill moves me.
Yeah, or if we wanted to get Dax Hill back at nickel like in 2021.
Ooh, that's fun. That's fun. I like where your head's at there. Rank the position group out of 5.
2.
2 of 5.
2 of 5. Yeah.
2 of 5. See it the same way. I went back and forth with it. I don't think it's a huge gap. I really don't. This is a very talented room. This is a very good room. There's high-end talent. There's guys in the wings that we're excited about. It's not a huge gap, but I have it at 2 of 5 as well.
Yeah, there's some depth in the next room we're going to talk about.
Yeah. Overall grade, I gave this an A-. This is really good. What more could you want out of this? Could become an A+ if Earl sits.
We're so close, but I'm always the downer on the other side of the coin. I had B+ written down.
B+? Feels insulting. I wanted to tack off the minus, but I'm like, I need to see Shamari Earls play some snaps before I take off the minus. So, But I'm ready to do it. I'm ready to give this group an A. So certainly could get to that height there. All right, my friend, let's move to the last group that we're going to talk about today. The safeties. So I think we kind of gave away some of our thoughts here about how high we are on the safety room. Rod Moore in some of these conversations says he's at 100%. He's had 2 interceptions that we know about already in camp, looking good out there, rocking the number 1. You want to talk about experience, championship pedigree. This guy did play a lot on some winning teams, absolute ring holder. So the conversation needs to start with Rod Moore being back healthy, ready to go.
A complete game changer at the position. This is a 3-star recruit that couldn't be kept off the field in 2021, who got on there against Ohio State, who had a pick against TCU in 2022, who called game against Ohio State in 2023, and had as many interceptions as Jair Hill last year, and he only played in a game and a half, 1.75 games. You count the Nebraska snaps in there. He's just an absolute weapon on this defense and raises the ceiling of the entire unit just being on the field.
Absolute general out there as well, as far as communicating with his guys back there. I mean, this is having a coach on the field. I think Rod Moore has a future in coaching. I believe he probably will end up as a coach at some time. Just seems like one of those kind of players. Leadership, skills, never in the wrong position. Has that innate ability to force turnovers. I think he could have a big year, man. And then next to him, I anticipate it being Chris Bracey. Sounds like that is where we're looking as well. Chris Bracey comes over from Memphis. The redshirt junior broke up 9 passes last year. He had 81 tackles, 48 solo tackles. This dude's a stud, man. We were really excited. I don't feel like we've talked about him enough. This is about as experienced. This is a grown man safety room with Bracey and Rod Moore. These guys could be in the NFL right now.
Yeah, Bracey led the American Conference last year in pass breakups. Just has a knack for making plays, always getting his hand on the football, always being around it, whether it's tackling, whether it's hitting the ball. And it seems like he's already just taken the role of starting safety right next to Rod Moore. I kind of like that there wasn't a competition drug out for weeks on end with Mason Curtis. I like that he just stepped in and was automatically better. And Mason Curtis is a fine safety. Mason Curtis and Jordan Young are kind of like how we feel about the linebacker room. It's okay, we can do this. They might have some upside here, but we have 2 grown men in front of them.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And you hit on it. We were talking about the linebackers. Would love to see Mason Curtis move to linebacker where we could certainly use him out there. But as safety depth, he's probably the next guy worth mentioning there. But there are other guys here. We've recruited this position really well, and we've held on to most of these guys. Jacob Oden's still on this team. Man, I would really like to be proven right on that one. But how about Jordan Young as well? Jordan Deck, Kano Winston, Taylor Tatum no longer with the team, but even without him, those are really good names there. And I think I'm a little higher on Jordan Young as an eventual safety than I am on Mason Curtis.
I am too. I think Jordan Young improved all of last season. On his best game of the year was against Texas. He's one of my favorite sophomores to take a leap this year. And I think he'll be able to because he's going to have such a smaller role. Like it's going to be much more manageable for him to take on, especially learning this new scheme and having these veterans in front of him to learn from. Because again, like if we had Jordan Young and Mason Curtis starting at safety, it's like, okay, it's going to be one of the weaker rooms, but there's talent here with both these guys. And like they've played some snaps so that they could do some things, but it's like they don't have to. That's just the depth behind them. And then you mentioned some of the guys further down the line. I have a lot of Jordan Deck stock. I have a lot of Jordan Deck stock. We're going to talk about him again in a few minutes, but he's bringing a lot. Kano Winston has all-world speed, played a lot of snaps in the spring game, but acquitted himself nicely. And Jacob Oden is the easiest person on this team to root for, it feels like. He's just bled Michigan through and through. He's always been your guy. He had an interception last season. So even if he's not making an impact on the field, he's such a value add for a room. Kind of like having that veteran backup quarterback presence. Like it's just somebody that's good for morale.
Yeah, and I mean, if we didn't have Rod Moore and Chris Bracey, who are like locks for all Big Ten awards, I mean, just go ahead and lock that in there. These guys would start, and like you said, you'd feel pretty good about it there. Can any of these guys, or should any of these guys, give it a go at cornerback? Just because, like, there's some names here, like we're pretty deep in there talking about Kano Winston. I'm like, I have Kano Winston stock for sure. I have Oden stock. I have Deck stock. I have Jordan Young stock. Like, I have stock in all these guys.
I don't know if corner specifically, maybe at nickel, if you want to narrow it down. I don't know if any of them could play field or boundary, but I think you could probably see some nickel crossover there. Like I wouldn't rule out that Rod Moore could potentially do it if they needed him to do it. He was repping some there last year before he got hurt and had to miss the end of the season. So I think you'd have some flexibility there. Jordan Young, I believe, had some reps at nickel as well. So you could see him transition over. You mentioned his name earlier about having some of that versatility, but I wouldn't rule it out. Hell, dude, a couple years ago, I laughed at you when you said Mikey Sainristil could play boundary, and then he's an awesome boundary quarter, and he's an awesome boundary quarter in the NFL. So it's like, it could happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And if you're looking for opportunity, probably the way to go. If there's injuries, Jordan Young, you just slot right in, you know, Mason Curtis, Jordan Young, you're next up. So, I mean, maybe they would prefer to keep them there, but there is some opportunity. You know, I don't know about Kano Winston at boundary. I would tend to agree. I don't see that. Nickel for Kano could be a thing. Jordan Young could do it. Yeah. Jordan Deck, man, we're going to talk about him. So I'm going to save a little bit of that there. Any other big picture thoughts before we get into the categories?
No, let's knock him out.
All right. Best player. What are we doing?
It's Godmore.
It's Godmore. There's a reason that your name is God. X Factor or breakout player. Interested to see here if like you think this guy that I have is already broken out. If not, I got a backup. Who do you got here?
For Michigan, I wanted to put Chris Bracey. It was more for impact player instead of like breakout. I just think Chris Bracey is going to bring a different energy to this defense. It's kind of like if Brandon Hillman played a little smarter. That's what Chris Bracey's bringing, had better ball skills. That's what he's bringing to this unit. I think it's going to be a nice welcomed addition. He kind of brings a little bit of what TJ Metcalf and Brandon Hillman brought last year, but he brings it in one player.
Yeah, no, I really like that. This is a veteran. This is just like adult in the room. It's like, you know what you're going to get from this guy. He's a professional. So,
and he's a third team transfer. But I think if you look into that, it's only because his coach left at the previous two stops. That's why he left each school.
And I mean, he's one of our guys now. So like all is forgiven and forgotten. I wrote Jordan Young. You could argue he like already began his breakout last year. Again, opportunity.
That's a good answer.
Yeah. Like, I don't know what the opportunity is going to be this year, but he's going to play. Like he's the next guy up. And I'm just a little higher on him than Mason Curtis. Please move to linebacker Mason Curtis.
Please.
All right. Yeah. What else we got here? So next up on the list, great time for the doc to restart there. Let's go freshman stock investment. There's a couple guys here you could mention.
Jordan Deck.
This is Jordan Deck time.
He was one of my, when I was going through the defensive recruits for our freshman series, which we did about a month ago now. Please go check that out. Did offense and defensive freshmen. I love Jordan Deck's tape. It was Tariq Bodie, like one, Jordan Deck two. I was like, there are
two shared guys. Yeah.
I was like, this is a thoroughbred safety prospect. Like he has the complete game. He's a physical force as a tackler. He can play the ball in the air. He looks very similar to Tyler Nubin to me. He was at Minnesota a couple years ago. He's with the Giants now. I think he's got it all, man. It wouldn't surprise me if he has a Rod Moore-like trajectory where he skips the line.
I could see it, man. Very high on Jordan Deck. No surprise, I have stock. And like the Jordan Young, Jordan Deck future, that moves me. I'm very intrigued by that. Kano Winston redshirted last year, so technically still a freshman as well. But I think Deck could pass him up. I'm seeing it similarly. I think Jordan Deck could kind of jump the line there and jump over Kano Winston. Jacob Oden now or never, but I don't think he'd transfer because, like you mentioned, Jacob Oden loves it here. So that means I like him.
Yeah, he's just a good dude.
Yep, I'm here for it. So, yep, Jordan Deck, keep an eye out. Strength and weaknesses, I wrote depth, championship experience, youth, top-end talent, middle-class talent, just all-around well-rounded room. I had a lot of glowing remarks for this room.
I'll give us the weaknesses here because I'm the Debbie Downer on this podcast. Rod Moore's knee.
That's it.
That
the
was
only
it.
thing that can stop this, yeah.
That was the only negative I could come up with this room.
I wrote health, so yeah, that's funny.
Everything else, it checks all the boxes. Like you have the high-end talent, you have the depth players emerging, you have the middle class in between, which I think is kind of underrated on some of these teams. Like especially like in the corner room, it's like we get a couple more of these middle class guys. So here, I think they have it in spades. And like this is a room that's just quietly come together so well, is built for now and built for the future.
Yep, absolutely. Well said. It's both of those. I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about what it's going to look like this year. If you could bring one historical player to the room, this is kind of the first room where it's like, do we even need anybody? I'll take them. Like, if you're going to give me Tom Curtis, come on over. But like,
exactly. Like, I'm not just going to name a superstar here. I want to bring somebody that, fit in the rotation, was a high end player. So I'm not going to pick just an absolute scrub. I'm going to put 97 Marcus Ray in this room. Ooh. Just an absolute dog to put in this kind of defense, this attacking defense. I think Marcus Ray would feast.
I love that one. That's really good. I went Jordan Kovacs. I'm a homer. That's my boy. Now. He was just on
friend
the pod.
Like
friend of the pod, good dude. And like, again, another just veteran. Like that dude always played like a veteran. So you have Bracey, Moore, and Kovacs. That is the smartest safety room I've ever heard of.
Yeah, I think after, I have to check my math here, but I think post 2000, at least post Sam Sword, no player has more tackles in a single season than Jordan Kovacs at Michigan.
Welcome aboard. Welcome aboard to the secondary. You'd fit like a glove. But yeah, this top end is already amazing. Like you really don't need to add too much to have a great safety room here as well. Rank the position group of 5. Same. We're both holding up the number 1. It's the best position group on the defense. Yeah. If you have a healthy Rod Moore. Now, if you're like Rod Moore is still battling through something, I would drop this below corner.
I would drop it. But getting the glowing recommendation from Whittingham this week, last week, that he and John Henry Daly are both full tilt, and Rod Moore saying his knee feels like it did like 3 years ago, I'm like, I am all the way in.
I'm all aboard. I gave it an A+. That's the number 1 room on the defense. I gave it an A+, because like, what more are you missing here? What are you looking for? And would you give it an A-?
A.
Because you're a dick. Couldn't find it in her heart to get that plus.
Always one shade below you. Just A. I'm like the German judge at the Olympics.
It's like no joy, no love in your life. I was happy to give it an A+. It's an awesome room, man.
Yeah.
And when you combine it with cornerbacks, like that's the strength of this team. That's the strength of this defense.
Yes, which is a very good thing for this unit. We're going to talk about the pass rush and how that works hand in hand next week. But having this unit be so strong is what Jay Hill needs in his defense.
Yes. Yeah. Very excited to watch this group. And yeah, man, a lot of young guys. Are we a little worried about maybe losing some transfers there because of the amount of like, it's going to be tough to get snaps if you're Odin or one of these guys, Mason Curtis, maybe.
Price you have to pay. Like, it's just going to
worth it. Yeah. Would happily pay it again. All right. That's going to do it for us today, my friend. We will keep moving with the previews. Next week is the last of them.
Next week is Oregon, UCLA, Ohio State previews, and it's defensive ends, defensive tackles, and coaches. Like it's
and special teams
and banger. Yeah.
Banger episode next week. You're not going to want to miss that one. Go back and check out the other recordings and previews if you haven't already. You want to hear our thoughts on the offense. But yeah, this was a fun conversation today, man. It's going to be another great one next week, and then it's Big Ten over-unders, and then we are previewing an actual game. I am vibrating. I felt one little chilly breeze the other day, and literally the hair on my arm stood up like my spider sense had been activated. I am ready.
And also, we'll have an announcement to make in a couple weeks, so tune in for that. Yeah, so a couple weeks, some things moving behind the scenes, shake and move, and getting ready for 2026. So as football's starting anew, we might have some new things in the works as well. So be on the lookout.
We're always doing stuff over here. Thank you to producer Tony for doing the Lord's work. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Keep him employed. Please go follow us on all of our socials. You can find us at OOTB Sports. We're out there. We're on Twitter. We're out there. Maybe we should get a Blue Sky going one of these times. You're over there downloading 500-page PDFs, breaking down zone running blocking concepts. We could probably squeeze in a Blue Sky or something.
I'll put Tony on Blue Sky. I got to catch up on Mesh.
There you go. All right. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. I'm Jared. That's Andy. This is Out of the Blue. We'd like to remind you that wherever you go, go blue.
I'll ask the guy behind the register a question.